6 p.m. I'd like to start the meeting. First of all, I think maybe we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Ed Forsberg, the current chairman, and
I'm Cheryl Karen, Precinct 7. I'm the vice chair, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dave Thornton.
Mike Seeler.
Leah McGuell.
Larry Pittman.
Patrick Shield, Assistant Town Administrator.
All right, thank you. So the first order of business would be to reorganize the committee, so we would have to, we'd probably just vote a chairman and a vice chairman, and Patrick would probably take care of most of the minutes in-house here, so.
I make a motion to nominate Ed Forsberg as the chairman of the committee.
Second.
Okay, any other? So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? I'll abstain. And then we would go for vice chairman.
You want to be it?
Cheryl, I'll nominate Cheryl for vice chairman.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Okay. All right, so we have a committee. All right, so this year here, we're going to do the capital budget request a little different, almost like we're doing town meeting and the FinCom as a consent agenda type of thing. So we're going to have Patrick will introduce each article or each item, and he will also mention the request and what is recommended for the payment, for the fee. So, and then if anybody on our committee has a question or would like a further explanation of any of the articles, we will put a hold on it. And Patrick, so would we wait and discuss all of the holds before we take a vote, or will we take a vote on the non-holds and then go one by one afterwards?
So it's different this year. We've got really 3 articles this year, one for non-borrowing, one for borrowing, and then one for the high school. So where it's all, most of it's tied into one article anyway, I'd say let's not vote those items until kind of the end. But yeah, why don't we do it that way? So that way we'll put holds, we'll go down the list, we'll put holds on the ones members have questions on, and then we can go back and address those kind of one at a time, and then, you know.
And then vote the article?
Vote the article at the end, and if, you know, if there's more conversation or deliberation that needs to happen, you know, we can schedule another meeting. But, you know, I just want to thank all the department heads and elected board and committee officials that are here tonight. Hopefully we can answer any questions that the committee has, so. That work? We can start? If there's
Yeah,
any
so we'll
other
go right
questions.
down in
Yeah,
order.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
All right, starting with Board of Assessors, business personal property, state mandated 5-year certification, request $56,810. Town administrator is recommending $56,810 from overlay.
So does anybody like an explanation on that, or, okay?
Recreation Department, Blackburn Hall improvements, repairs, preschool area, requested $500,000. Town administrator is recommending $100,000 from free cash.
Yeah, hold. I'm going to say, Patrick, the next 3 will probably hold because we just got the information on that, but you can read it off anyways, right?
Yeah, so the field scoreboard buzzer request was $15,000. The town administrator is recommending 0 for that item. Okay, yep. And then pool repairs, requested $75,000. Town administrator is recommending $75,000 from free cash.
Hold.
I'll hold that one too. From Community and Economic Development, Memorial Park Master Plan, requested $15,000. Town administrator is recommending $15,000 from free cash.
Hold.
From the Cultural Council, programs for music, dance, cultural diversity, science, arts, and theater, requested $12,000. The town administrator is recommending $12,000 from free cash.
I'll put a hold on that.
Police Department, duty weapons, requested $91,000. Town administrator is recommending $91,000 from free cash. Marked police cruiser trade-in, request was for $78,000. Town administrator is recommending $78,000 from free cash. IT replacement, request was for $20,000. The town administrator is recommending $20,000 from free cash. Rave Mobile, request is for $32,500. Town administrator is recommending $32,500 from free cash.
Just to make a note, that's the reverse 911, correct?
Yep. And then live scan, request was for $7,200. Town administrator is recommending $7,200 from free cash. Okay, from the fire department, ambulance, request was for $430,000. Town administrator is recommending $430,000 from the ambulance account.
Hold.
Request was for EMS equipment for $55,000. Town administrator is recommending $55,000 from free cash. Software updates / MDTs, request was for $96,259. Town administrator is recommending $96,259 from free cash. Computer equipment, IT upgrades, department's requesting $17,744. Town administrator is recommending $17,744 from free cash. Station 2 relocation study, department requested $500,000. The town administrator is recommending $300,000 from free cash.
Hold on that, please.
For Public Works, engineering, Pine Street culvert replacement, the request was for $700,000. Town administrator is recommending $450,000 from free cash and $250,000 from sewer retained earnings.
Hold that, please.
Stormwater infiltration basin, Jarvis Farm, request was for $102,000. Town administrator is recommending $102,000 from water retained earnings.
You hold that too, please.
Repairs to bridge, South Street and School Street, request was for $350,000. Town administrator is recommending $100,000 from free cash.
Hold, please.
For the Highway Division, roadway improvements, resurface roads, sidewalks, lots, pavement markings, crack sealing. Department request was for $2,105,000. The town administrator is recommending $788,080 from Chapter 90 and $1,055,000 from free cash. Hold on that, okay. Two-ton poly sander units. The department requested $60,000. Town administrator is recommending $60,000 from free cash. Oh, okay. For the Parks Division, synthetic turf field replacement, department requested $175,000. Town administrator is recommending $175,000 from free cash.
That's the reserve, like the,
The building up, exactly, yeah. You a hold on that?
no, I'm good.
Okay. Mower replacement, the department requested $23,500. Town administrator is recommending $23,500 from free cash. Enclosed trailer, department's requesting $15,000. The town administrator is recommending $0 for the enclosed trailer.
Hold, please.
Hold. Hazard tree removal, department requested $25,000. Town administrator is recommending $25,000 from free cash. Infield groomer replacement, department's requesting $35,000. Town administrator is recommending $35,000 from free cash. Vehicle maintenance division, number 223, the 2007 Volvo loader. Department's requesting $320,000 from, and then the town administrator is recommending $320,000 from free cash.
Hold, please.
That was the one in the parking lot, I think, right?
That's right, yep. So hold from you, Ed?
Yep.
Okay. Actually, before I go on, I know this is a number of folks here from the Cultural Council, just where there was no, oh, was there a hold on that one? There was a hold on that one, excuse me, I was gonna say, let them go, but there was a question on that one, so never mind. Number 552, the 2008 Ford F-250 utility truck, request was for $85,000. Town administrator is recommending $85,000 from free cash.
Hold.
Number 349, 2013 Ford F-150 4x4. The department's requesting $65,000. The town administrator is recommending $60,000 from free cash.
Hold, please.
Okay, moving on to building maintenance, partial roof replacement and repairs. Department requests $450,000. The town administrator is recommending $450,000 from free cash. Hold. Emergency generator, department's requesting $160,000. The town administrator is recommending 0 for that one.
Hold.
Towable lift, department's requesting $45,000. Town administrator is recommending $45,000 from free cash. Building repairs, upgrades, and replacements, department requested $375,000. Town administrator is recommending $375,000 from free cash. Okay, school department, 2 modular classrooms for Boyden Elementary School, request was for $1 million. The town administrator is recommending $950,000 from free cash.
Hold, please.
HVAC installation at First Elementary School, request was for $500,000. The town administrator is not recommending that item. Playground padding at Boyden Elementary School, the request was for $75,000, and the town administrator is not recommending that item as well.
Hold, please.
Water department, HEW design, request was for $650,000. The town administrator is recommending $650,000. From water retained earnings, excuse me. Any questions?
Actually, did anybody hold that? I'd like to hold that one, please.
PFAS, Edward J. Delaney design, request is for $850,000. Town administrator is recommending $850,000 from water retained earnings.
Hold that, please.
Okay, water main replacement, the request was for $2,450,000. Town administrator is recommending $950,000 from water retained earnings.
Hold.
Sewer department, Ganawat Sewer Station Rehabilitation, request was for $420,000 from, request was for $420,000. The town administrator is recommending $420,000 from sewer retained earnings. F-150 4x4, request was for $65,000. Town administrator is recommending $65,000 from sewer retained earnings.
Hold.
F-250 utility body, the request is for $85,000. Town administrator is recommending $85,000 from sewer retained earnings.
Hold, please.
F-250 4x4, the request was for $85,000. The town administrator is recommending $85,000 from sewer retained earnings.
Thank you. I'll hold that.
Hold that one.
Yep.
All right, we'll keep going. It's 2 other articles, but we'll just keep going. So the fire engine, $1,200,000 from borrowing. The request was for $1,200,000. Town administrator is recommending $1,200,000 from borrowing. Allen Dam construction, the request was for $2,275,000. Town administrator is recommending $2,275,000 from borrowing.
Hold, please.
The Willis Water Treatment Plant Lagoon construction, the request was for $2,265,000. Town administrator is recommending $2,265,000 from water borrowing.
Hold, please.
And then the final item is just the Walpole High School renovation addition. That amount is to be determined. We've got bids actually coming in this upcoming Thursday for that project, so we'll have final numbers in hand. So the idea is we'll get the numbers in hand this Thursday. This committee is scheduled to meet with the Finance Committee again on September 12th. So the idea would be that we would present those numbers, both the Finance Committee and the Capital Budget Committee at the same time, or hopefully the two committees to take a vote that night. So the school department will have more information about that request, but this has been kind of in the works for the past few years. I think most of you are probably familiar with it at this point, but the exact amounts are still to be determined. So, all right, just take it from the top. All right, Ed?
Yep, so, all right, so we're all good with the, so the first one was the field scoreboard. Cheryl?
Yeah, why isn't it being funded? What was the rationale? There's a couple of other items that are $15,000 that seem like this could be more.
Sure, so the field scoreboards, they were just installed this past year. They were purchased by the youth leagues themselves. They were privately purchased, and youth leagues are the primary benefactors of those. So we thought that these they could be funded other ways other than tax dollars, and we were able to use donations actually to purchase the buzzer. So the buzzers, we already placed the order. We used donations to make that happen, so.
Okay, thank you.
Where were they installed?
The Blue Russo complex across from the prison.
Okay, very good, thank you. The next one was,
I think
I
Larry had
think you skipped
On
the
Blackburn?
Yeah.
oh, all right, oh, yeah, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
There.
Larry.
Blackburn, I think we just got an update.
Yeah, so a few of you may have been missing some of the recreation department items that Ed mentioned. He had 2 fire department submissions, so I don't know if something happened, but you may have the recreation department stuff in your packets, you may not. It was contained in the PDF that I sent on August 9th, so none of it's new information, but essentially with the Blackburn Hall project, the recreation department and myself, we worked with Weston Sampson a couple years ago to do a facilities assessment of all the recreation properties in town, one of which is Blackburn Hall. This committee voted favorably for funding for Blackburn Hall last year. We've got a few projects that are currently in the works. One is the floors at Blackburn Hall, and another's the bathrooms. So combined, they're about $500,000 worth of improvements. The select board actually just voted to award those contracts at their meeting last week. So the thought behind this was, before we invest another $500,000 into the building, let's get those projects up and running, get those ones completed, at least the $100,000. That'll allow us to continue working with our architect to put together drawings, to do things like the preschool area downstairs, so.
Okay, so you want to, okay, I get it. And in the same here, you mentioned one of the bullet items on a project outcomes, increased revenue. Do you guys have any projections? Do you run numbers to say, okay, here's what we are today, and by investing this capital, in a sense, we expect revenue to go from $100,000 a year to $125,000 a year, in a sense to kind of get some return on that investment?
Sure, so I would say, so the rec department does like budgeting and projections. I do want to introduce the new recreation director sitting behind me, Renee Tosi. She started in May or end of April? June. So she's just, got her first summer kind of under her belt. She's, putting in place her own structure over there. As far as these types of investments at Blackburn Hall, there hasn't been an analysis on a return on investment. It's one of those, you walk in there, you see these bathrooms, and, it's, the level the bathrooms are now, it's more about reassuring confidence in the public where they're dropping their children off. Those bathrooms are in dire conditions. The floors, it's not suitable for running programs like basketball or pickleball. It's a checkered dance floor. So I'm sure once Renee kind of gets up and running, we can sort of do a comparison of revenue and program enrollments for some of the previous years once these improvements are in place. But nothing in place right
It's
now.
nothing return, actually, maybe I'm misspeaking, not return, but revenue. I'm just curious if it's going to generate more. I agree the place has to be upgraded. It's done its due.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see what it's going to, if it's going to generate more. Because the rec department is more, pretty much self-sufficient, more or less.
For the most part, yeah, for the most part. There's some indirect costs that's funded through taxation, like the director's salary, utilities, things like that. But the rest of what the department does, it's all self-sufficient.
Thank you. Can I ask one other, just general question?
Yep.
Not so much about this, but what's our free cash position since we're taking
Yeah.
$5 million odd out of free cash? I'm curious what
So
that is.
free cash was certified on, August 8th, certified $14,158,083.
As of 8/8. And can you tell me what it was, say, 8/8/23?
I can. It was $13,069,466.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then maybe just, you all set, Larry? That's it? And then just maybe a brief explanation on the pools. Since we didn't get that information in the packet, just a little explanation would be nice.
Yeah, well, why don't I allow Renee to come up, want to come up and introduce yourself? Yeah, right over here. Very excited about Renee being here, by the way.
I'm super excited to be here too.
Welcome, by the way.
Thank you, thanks. So basically for the pools, it's mostly like maintenance and repair, just to kind of keep it up and running, and we're closed now for the season. But this summer, obviously, I started mid-June. The pools just opened, and there was just ongoing maintenance issues, something different every day. So basically, we're just looking to fix it up so that we can maybe avoid some of those issues. I've reached out to 5 or 6 different pool companies to try and get them on a maintenance plan, so maybe they come in every Monday morning. Donnie's guys have been great, for us to just call them, whatever, but it might be nice once a week to have an actual pool company come in, tweak everything, make sure every, nut and bolt is screwed together, the chlorinator's working, the probes are going, and that type of thing, just to keep up. So if we can put a chunk of money into it, get it up and running and started, and then maintain it throughout, was basically what we were looking.
Didn't we fund a pool, like redesign last year?
Yeah, and I can
Yeah.
actually kind of provide an update on that. So the last few years, we've done a few studies. One, the Western Sampson facility studies that I just mentioned that included Blackburn Hall and the pools. We contracted with Vertex to do a pool replacement study and then a supplemental study. So that second study, they recommended some options that involved total replacement of both pools at about $7.5 million each. So we're talking $15 million for what amounts to about 8 weeks of the year. So we got that number. We said there's no way we can bring that proposal for $50 million forward for, it's such a small period of time of the year. So the third study, we went back to Vertex and said, this isn't going to cut it. We've got to figure out some way that we got to keep these pools kind of going. So, recommend to us approaches and measures that we can take to buy another 20 years worth of life into this. So you're correctly, so in 2022, $218,000 was appropriated, and then last year another $200,000 was appropriated. So the idea is that Donnie is going to be working with, there's a engineering firm called BH&A. They're going to take a look at the plumbing, they're going to take a look at the shells, and see if there's a way that we can, try to buy an additional 20 years worth of life out of these pools, because, we just can't go asking the taxpayers for $50 million for the pools. There's so many other items on the priority list, so that's that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so,
Is Renee all set?
yep, I think so. Anybody? Questions? No? I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as
Run.
Yes, they're all set to leave if there's no further questions, right? All right, all set, Renee, thank you. Board of Assessors, you're all set. Next hold was Community and Economic Development Memorial Park Master Plan.
That was me. I just wanted to understand the town administrator's reasoning for funding this versus another $15,000 item, the enclosed trailer for the Parks Division. Just wanted to understand the rationale there.
Yeah, so I understand that this was a priority of one of the select board members that had requested this, so worked with, is that correct?
Yeah, no, it was a conversation with one of the select board members as well as myself and the conservation agent. We see a lot of use over at Memorial Pond, Memorial Park, and there's been a lot of conversation on what improvements could be made. So rather than just put stuff there, I think bringing in an outside consultant would be helpful to get a better idea.
Thank you.
Were we looking at any specifics, or was this just to give us some ideas on programs and how to move forward?
Yeah, I mean, the scale of what we'd be doing would be more preliminary, some more in-depth studies would involve a lot more community outreach, different concept plans. So something like this, it would give us a base idea from an outside perspective of what landscape improvements, what programming could be better utilized.
Larry?
I know we've spent money, I think, on removal of invasive plants, whatever. Are we on that, I think on that pond in the past?
Dredging?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're okay, everything, and it's working?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to talk to Landis to get an update, but it hasn't been something that she's brought to our attention.
And have we done previous studies? I just seem like we've done analysis or studies on this before. Do we have any on the shelf now that we could maybe entertain or use?
For Memorial Park, the pond itself,
No?
no.
Okay.
I mean, as I said, yeah, maybe different studies too, like before I got here, back in 2021, some downtown economic development studies. And a lot of it also focuses on recreational, passive recreational facilities such as the common or Springbrook Park. So there's nothing specific to Memorial Park that I have. A few things within the open space and recreation plan, in terms of improvement of existing facilities, but it's not specific to it.
Thank you.
Good?
Yeah, good. You can go.
There's no
You can get out
hold,
of here the fastest.
They're running.
no holds on the police department requests, so the next hold was on ambulance.
You want to talk cultural council?
Was there
Oh, I'm
cultural?
sorry, I blew
Yeah.
right past cultural council, yeah, I think we have folks here from the cultural council.
This is something new, so I just wanted a little bit of an explanation, and then maybe what they had ideas for the money to go to.
Yeah, so I'll defer to the cultural council to talk about the meat and potatoes behind what they're looking to do. I would say that they did come to the select board meeting back in October, and essentially looked for what I would call kind of like a match to what some of the funding sources you have already to further the cultural council's mission in town. I think that meeting was well received by the select board, so they mentioned that this is a process through which funding can be appropriated for projects like the ones that the cultural council has envisioned. So they submitted the request, and, you know, in the spirit of the conversation back in October, the town administrator recommended the $12,000 that they requested. So I don't know if you want to invite the folks up here, they can talk about what they're looking to do.
Yeah, I mean, give us a brief.
Sure, so we're all here from the Cultural Council. I'm not sure how much you know about the Cultural Council, but we are an all-volunteer town committee that's committed to promoting arts and cultural in our town. We believe that enhancing arts and culture can improve the lives of town residents by promoting youth development, health and wellness, creating a town environment that's more inclusive and welcoming, and much more. Traditionally, we receive an allocation of funding from the Massachusetts Cultural Council. We follow Massachusetts Cultural Council guidelines to fairly disseminate funding to nonprofits and artists for arts and cultural activities. We have seen a real growth in applications over the past few years, and we are coming to the town to seek matching funding. Our budget is right now $12,000. With a $12,000 allocation from the town, we could double our impact, having more music programs, theater programs, science and nature programs, cultural diversity programs. That's my quick explanation.
And I'd add to that, that we really prioritize not only the categories that Claire mentioned of cultural diversity, music, science and nature, but we look to fund programs that support all groups in the town. So we fund the schools. I think in the last couple of cycles, we've supported events at each of the schools in Walpole. We support events at the senior center, at the library, at the town center, the farmers market. So we make sure that we're providing opportunities for everyone, and where possible, we support programs that do not have any fee.
So do you actually run the programs yourself? It seemed, when I read that, it was more grants, or you would give money to a cultural
Yes.
endeavor or whatever to, help fund them for their event? Is that what it is?
That's exactly right. And,
Okay.
we follow a protocol that's been carefully created by the state's cultural council to make sure that the funding is going to nonprofits and to artists for nonprofit programs.
Yeah, so we receive applications, we carefully review those applications, and then we decide on guidelines.
Okay.
We
So-
also
so-
have, I'm sorry, we also have a process where we survey the community to find out what community members would like to see funding, and we look at those, that input very carefully when we make funding decisions.
Okay, so you really don't run any programs yourself, you just support other programs?
Actually, we do run an annual writing contest now in its fourth year, Walpole Writes, which has been very successful. We've seen a lot of interest from people of all ages, starting from, first graders to senior citizens that submit writing samples that are judged and become a celebration. This year, we also partnered to coordinate a holy festival
And be inclusive.
with Be Inclusive, which is a nonprofit in the town.
Great, okay, good, thank you. Anybody else? Larry?
Just have a question on the funding. To me, this is hopefully going to be an ongoing enterprise or match, and to me, that's not a capital item, that is a operating item, and can we consider next year maybe, I'm fine with what we're doing here, as a kind of test, I guess you could say, you mentioned, first time, and I would think that this would be an operating budget item, maybe in a rec or something department, going forward. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
Yeah, it seemed like it showed a 5-year plan, it was 12,000 a year, so it's a recurring expense, so it might not really come under capital after the first year, right? So,
Yeah, well, like I said, this is the first year we're doing it, and this is more just kind of get this kind of up and running, and we'll continue to work with Cultural Council, evaluate the program in the future, and, maybe look to add it to the operating budget, so.
$12,000 is 0.0000063% of the requested funds this year. Ask for more money next year.
Thank you for all your work.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now, past police department, fire department, the hold was on the ambulance.
That was me, mainly because the ambulance requested this fiscal year, it was $430,000. And then there's an ambulance in year 3 where it's $700,000, and I just wanted to understand why there's such a big difference in the cost.
Chief?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This year, we just request, because of the 3-year wait, what we've estimated a 36-month delivery is what has been presented to us. So our concern was the equipment that we'd have to purchase during that timeframe, the value, the cost will go up dramatically in that 3 years. They wouldn't guarantee equipment cost during that timeframe. I didn't want to purchase it now, which was we've done last year with previously with the 2 engines, because the warranty will expire by the time we actually get the equipment in service. So I'm hopeful that the timeframe for the second ambulance that comes back up will be a little more realistic than a 36-month estimate on a delivery. We'll be able to get the equipment at that time as opposed to dragging it out. So you'll see next year, we have a $200,000 request on the 5-year plan to address some of that equipment if the timeframe works out.
So you do believe in 2-3 years from now, an ambulance will cost $700,000?
No, it'll probably cost, we're requesting $450,000 for the, price of the ambulance will go up, but we'll need the equipment as well.
Oh, okay.
So I'm hopeful that I can do the purchase all at once as opposed to buying
Okay.
the ambulance and then the equipment to
Got
outfit it.
it. Okay, thank you.
So this price is locked in even though it's,
We haven't signed the contract just yet.
well, I mean, once you sign the contract, it'll be locked in, even though you're not getting it now, it's gonna be 3 years, it's still,
To the best that when we purchased the engines, Reese, the $2,000, the $1,000 engine and the other engine at the regular price, they did have an out clause on the contract because of an issue, and they did enact that, so there is a potential even, so if something, the world falls apart again, that we run into the issue, but we've been told this is a pretty good estimate as to what the price would be, so hopefully, the last thing I want to do is come back looking for more money before we people for something that we already negotiated.
don't hold your breath. Anything else on the, Larry?
What's the ambulance fund balance these days?
this day, it's $2,891,019.
I'm sorry, 2 million what?
$2,891,019.
So my guess is we can buy a lot of ambulances with that. Are we gonna use, well, would we use any of that money toward a fire equipment? That it pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, goes out on a lot of runs with the ambulance.
So talk about the engine that's on
Yeah.
the capital budget. So the idea with the engine is it's also got a pretty long lead time, that using borrowing, we don't have to foot the money essentially this year. We don't have to lock in that money for the ambulance account now. So, that's the idea behind the borrowing, is that we can kind of, we don't have to pay that until the piece of equipment arrives. So we're able to kind of delay when, the obligation, we'd have to go for the obligation.
Estimate for delivery 2 years for a truck?
That's a 36-month also.
Also,
Yeah.
so would it be prudent to take third, out of the ambulance fund, so when delivery time comes, you have it instead of incurring debt and the cost of that?
That's not what the town administrator is recommending, but.
Okay. Any particular rationale? Debt's better, or,
I think the idea with this was that you don't have to lock that money up.
what's it used for otherwise?
Operating budget, other capital.
For the
other-
fire department?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the other item, and if there's no other questions on the ambulance, the other item that was held for the fire department was the Station
Station
2
two,
relocation study.
Is there any way we could take a look at that station? I mean, we've spent, I think the town and the federal government has spent a good amount of money renovating that place, and it sounds like it doesn't work. I know they changed the height to get trucks better, that fit easier.
Yeah, I'm sure the chief and the deputy wouldn't, the assistant chief wouldn't mind organizing a tour. I would mention that this is something that's been on the capital plan since, I think, 21 or 22. In fall of 21, actually, before that, in spring of 2020, we reopened Station 2 to spread out the firefighters in response to COVID-19. And then in October of 21, the select board formally voted to keep it as an open station. So since then, we've made improvements to the building. We've created dedicated bedrooms, including, I think, added another bedroom for a lieutenant. The lieutenant's permanently stationed over there on the shift. But since then, it's something that the previous fire chief and this fire administration has identified as, not being adequate in terms of location, in terms of the size of the facility itself. I'm sure the chief can get into a little bit more, but yeah, I don't see a problem with organizing a tour if folks want to take a look at it. But the idea with the study, the $300,000, is something we can study in terms of responses, other locations in East Walpole. Maybe it's that location, making improvements to that location. But that would be the items that would be included in that study for that building.
And haven't, you mentioned it's kind of been on the radar for a couple of years, haven't we kind of figured out we want a new station or need a new station? It's just a matter of location, or is it?
I think it's facility and location, but I'll let the chief kind of talk about that a little bit more.
Correct, the location, we're kind of tight on space in town. Where do we find some town-owned property, or do we have to come up with funding to purchase non-town-owned property? It is an antiquated station. The town and build maintenance has done a fantastic job working with us to make it habitable, but it is limited. It's the options that we can use there. I don't want to just say it's just tired, but it doesn't really serve the needs that we could use. We don't have a training room to fit the whole department in. We have to borrow from the library, we have to borrow from the police department, find a space to do our individual training. Takes us out of our, most of our training is done on duty, so it's a little bit cumbersome to try to find a different spot to do our training as well. Would be very glad to have everybody in to take a look, to see exactly what we're dealing with. When we built Station 1 a little over 6 years ago, we had requested prior to that to build it to house much larger staffing because of the space, because of the funding. We were limited to house only staff for 11 individuals there. The grand plan is to staff much more than that, so we said at the time we'd still need to look into a second station. and to try to get some outside ideas as to the best location, narrow down response times, and try to make the best educated decision for the town.
Thank you.
So, does this include any design? This is just a study to where it should be located, recommendations? I mean.
So for now, the idea is that this would be for the study. So for a point of reference, the feasibility study for the high school was $200,000. So that was a few years ago. I imagine that a study for Station 2 might be a little bit more expensive. So whatever would be available beyond the cost of the feasibility study could be used for design. But we'd have to come back to capital budget town meeting for further funding for design before even kind of going down that road. So we'd have to get some, run it by the select board, run it by this committee, finance committee, town meeting, get some direction on what we would be doing with the Station 2 before moving into a design phase.
I mean, it just seems to me there's a lot of studying for $300,000. I mean, I feel as though I could go out and pick a spot, so, but,
I'll
it is
take you
what
up
it
on
is.
that.
Yeah. All right, I'll do it for 100. All right, I think.
Any
we're all
other
set.
questions for the chief?
I think so, we're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Highway Division, there were no questions for the Highway Division. So next, Parks Division, was there a whole?
Public Works?
Engineering?
Oh, engineering, I don't know.
Yeah, engineering,
Everybody else.
I had a hold on the culvert there.
Pine Street culvert replacement, yeah, hold, request $700,000, and then the town administrator is recommending $450,000 free cash and $250,000 sewer retained earnings.
I'm thinking maybe Mr. Baldoff can give us a explanation on the difference in the price here, and what can we get done? Can we make it safe enough for the 350? You're only recommended to get half of your request, right? Well, not-
No,
a little
it's
more than
full.
that.
That's the South Street. on
Yeah, it's full,
Pine
the
Street.
Pine Street's fully funded.
Yes.
It's fully
Two
funded. So
sources.
What did I
this is
say?
And the-
funding
This is a big
sources.
code.
See,
Pine Street's
this
based
is-
on
Oh, I'm
current
sorry,
bids.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I have a question on that.
Pine
You
Street?
fooled
Yeah.
me with the line there. Okay.
Do you mind if I ask a question on Pine Street? The funding, again, sewer retained earnings, what is our balance on that right now?
Sewer retained earnings are certified at $2,380,441.
And is the intent of that for a capital bank, or to, is the Water and Sewer Commission on board with this? I know, not, maybe they're still sorting it out? Using the retained earnings, I'm
Commission
saying.
has not voted any of the capital items as of yet.
Thank you. And I guess is retained earnings typically used for capital expense items, or is it more for leveling rates, I'll say?
Typically, yes. We've tried to get away from the leveling of the rates with the retained earnings and doing the so-called smaller projects that we can do without borrowing. That way indirectly, it saves on the rate, because if you go to borrow, naturally you need to bond and pay the interest, which goes on to the rate. Retained earnings is simply taking the funds that are available and just basically doing the project that's basically a prepaid project.
Okay, thank you.
Larry, to your question, so I'm actually just looking at the capital budget from last fall, and there was $654,000 worth of infrastructure and equipment improvements that were requested.
Funded out of.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
No, I get it, I'm okay, I'm just wondering. Mechanics of it all.
This particular request was not on the capital budget. This happened as a result of a failure that happened this past April. Again, it wasn't even on our 5-year plan, to be honest with you, because when Fuss and O'Neill did the crossings, they didn't identify this one as being problematic. We had what we believe was a breach on the outlet side that caused the water to run around, over the spillway, around the structure, and basically erode it. The highway department and the water department did some temporary repairs. They excavated around the perimeter, put a couple of the large stones back into place, backfilled and compacted, repatched the road. In its current state, it is not gonna last forever. And as you guys all know, you know where it is, it's on the Sharon side of Route 1. So there's only one way in and one way out unless you want to go all the way around through Sharon. So if that road collapses, similar to the situation we have down on Washington Street now with the culvert, it's going to be problematic for a lot of people that live over that way. Fire and police response as well.
So is this a precast culvert, or do you put a pipe in and then like a head wall or something like that?
Likely, but it's not designed yet. So the one that's going is very similar to what we're doing on Washington Street now, and that's going to be precast as well, so.
Okay.
But it's basically going on a design right now, but with this urgency of the situation, and we really don't like the looks of this going through another wet season, we want to make sure that we're ready to go when this is designed and get on it as soon as possible.
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody else? Good? Thank you.
It looks like the next hold was on the stormwater infiltration basin at Jarvis Farm.
So on me, I have a quick, water retained earnings, what are we looking at these
Should have
days?
expected that.
You know that.
Should have just given it
I'm
to
gonna
you.
ask these questions.
You'll be impressed, you'll be
Stop
impressed with
flipping to
this
the
one, Larry.
page. Certified retained earnings were $3,879,075. $3,879,075.
Just for comparison, what was it last year?
I don't know if I have that information.
Don't worry
in front of me.
if you don't. I know it's a lot better than it has been. I think,
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Well, we get that. What is involved with this basin? I mean, I know the pond, the road going down to the pond and stuff like this, so where would this basin go? And what would it be
Right-hand
like?
side, Carl, of
Yeah, that's, basically, there's two things going on. The driveway going into Jarvis, there's a lot of runoff from that. There's no drainage on it, it's a dirt driveway. And then there's a little pond up there, and that basically contributes, that goes right into Spring Meadow Brook and goes through our aquifer. Also, the drainage from Morningside Drive comes down. That bit's old style, just comes out of a pipe at the edge of the properties on Morningside, runs across, and basically runs across the road into that pond. So the whole idea is to get, to shape a basin with a sediment forebay and whatnot up there, or a couple of bay, whichever it works out to be, so that we're able to do something with the water quality, get suspended solids out of the water before it goes in direct into the water. So that's the idea with that. It's tied in with the MS4 permit, Rick, I believe, yeah. So this is all part of that program, but it's basically a basin design and construction.
So that go between like the roadway and the pond, the current pond? like-
Yes.
Okay. All right, good, I'm good. Anybody else?
Well, just because I put the hold on it, but I had the same type of question, just kind of the sourcing from the water funds where it necessarily look like water-related, I mean, I guess technically you're saying it's going
Right,
to, is
it's
there a
it's
well field
direct
down there?
recharge to the aquifer,
So that's,
the School Meadowbrook aquifer.
okay.
That pond spring-fed there too, is it?
Uh,
That's spring-fed?
No, there's actually a branch of the brook that comes down from by Mick Morgan's up that side of the world and feeds into the pond. It's a little bit strange back there. It sort of feeds into it, or goes by it, or the pond discharges into it, or whatever.
Very good. Thank you. You good? Yep. All right, thank you.
And then repairs to Bridge, South Street, and School Street was the other hold.
Did you, Sharon?
I wanted to understand with the lesser amount that the town administrator funded it, will the bridge be repaired fully too?
So the request, the department request was for $350,000, I believe.
You
Town
got
administrator recommended $100,000. He is in negotiations with Covidian. As part of this project, they're going to daylight their portion of the culvert on their property. So he's hoping to negotiate and get a better deal from Covidian to supplement the work that we need done on our bridge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good.
Yep, good, thank you.
Great, thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
No questions for the Highway Division. So Parks Division, there's, Larry, you formerly had a hold on the synthetic field turf replacement.
Just looking for what's our current kitty for that field.
Oh, I'll tell you. Current capital account balance, $495,220.65. And then the permit fees account is $456,000. $980.49 for a total of $952,201.14.
So both of those would fund a new synthetic field?
Right, so when we did the field at the high school back in 2019, we used the amounts that we had been building up through capital and also through the permit fees to make that improvement. So for, just for reference, back in 2019, that amount was $425,000. And then, we had got the two fields up at, as in LaRusso, across from the prison.
What's the timeline to put a new field in?
14 years.
12 to 14 years is typical.
So where are we at in that lifespan?
3 years?
Yeah, so we replaced the one at the high school in 2019, so I guess we're in year 5, and then the two at LaRusso were complete in 2022, so maybe year 2.
So the idea is this money should fully fund or partially when it's
Hopefully.
due?
Hopefully fully, at least.
That's the idea, yeah.
Great, no, I'm good, I think it's a good idea, thank you.
Any other questions on turf replacement? Okay. There's a question, or hold on, the enclosed trailer?
That was me. That was just to understand the difference,
Okay.
so we're good. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for the Parks Division. Vehicle Maintenance Division. This holds in the loader, the utility truck, and the Ford F-150.
Yeah, on the loader, are you trading that in, or will that be kept like at the salt barn to fill up the trucks or something?
It'd be auctioned off or traded.
Okay. It's not worth keeping? No. I know, it looked pretty sad over there.
Too many hours on that one.
Yeah. What's holding
Unfortunately, it's the
fenders
best
on?
machine we got, but it's dying. It doesn't have all the fancy computers and all the electronics in it, so
Yeah.
therefore it runs.
Yeah. That's about it, right? Okay, all right, I'm good. Cheryl?
I'm good on that one.
Pickup trucks?
Yeah, so I put holds on all the trucks and stuff. What I know about trucks, you can put in my finger. But for a number of years, we've been asking, will they be hybrid, will they be electric? Just wanting to know, like,
These
when we're
will-
gonna make the tipping point.
These will all be 6-cylinder gasoline-fueled trucks.
Is there a reason why we're not considering hybrid?
Sorry? I can't
We've just been talking about this for a number of years, and I don't,
Hybrids? They're not proven yet with us. There's just a lot of problems with them going on. We do have a few out there that we've tried, but as far as for plowing snow and functioning, they really don't have it down yet, as far as I'm concerned. And they're very costly to maintain. When a battery goes or something like that, they're expensive.
Okay. All right, thank you. You can release all the cars,
Okay.
trucks.
I would say, actually, so we just got this, Donna and I just got this yesterday, maybe Rick too, we got, there's a webinar that's, we work with a consultant, her name's Kathy Stanley, she's our energy manager. She's a contracted consultant, she just sent us, there's a webinar taking place about moving fleets kind of in that direction, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested, for the reason that Tommy mentioned, you've got, a weather event or something like that, you need good, reliable, dependable vehicles, so I'd like to see kind of how some other cities and towns are implementing this, but, I think we're still kind of in the wait and see
Learning
phase.
stages.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll follow-
I think
follow
practically
suit.
speaking, for an administrative car, a hybrid would be probably okay.
Yeah,
But for a truck that you want as a frontline piece to plow and use on a daily basis, it's probably not a good fit for us.
thank you for explaining that, because it seems like more private vehicles are going towards hybrid and electric and,
The charge time takes a long time, so if we
yeah.
need the
Oh,
vehicle the next
obviously,
day,
Yeah, yeah,
it may not be ready to
yeah.
go.
But a hybrid might be something, but, all right, thank
I
you.
read some not too long ago that like 50% of electric car owners won't re-up. They will go
Oh,
back to
really?
gas. So it was just in the paper a few weeks
That's
ago.
true.
So. Huh?
I heard that.
You
Yeah, we'll
say,
never get the full electric in DPW anyway.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for explaining that. Appreciate that.
Okay, I guess we're good
We're
there.
good there, yeah.
All set with vehicle maintenance?
Yep.
Yep, okay, all right, thanks, Tommy.
Thank you.
Building maintenance, next hold was on the partial roof replacement and repairs.
It might have been me, I can't remember. But I know I have my notes here. I guess where are we, you know, focusing our efforts on, I guess, roof replacements and repairs.
I believe it's a Boyden School.
And I see a couple years out, so do you have a plan like this school and then that, whatever building needs it?
We're doing constant surveys on our roads, just for that purpose, to watch, how long you're gonna go.
Is it new, or do you just rehab them, or how do you, is it determined each one's different?
So like in this particular case, there was one section up at the Boyden School that was very bad. We've been patching and patching. So now I'd like to just take that section off and replace it and end the patch.
Thank you.
That,
Next one was on the emergency generator.
well, that wasn't funded.
I know I had a question, is it replacement or is it new?
It was a replacement.
Replacement, okay. And
And,
the old one just, it's done its time?
It's non-repairable at this
Yeah.
point.
Thank you.
Where was that one again?
Up at the DPW building.
Oh, okay.
But I see that, unfortunately, there was nothing recommended, so.
There's some project account balances that are available. I think we're gonna see if we can tap into some of those to try to get
Unused, whatever.
for generators that we'll see if we can dip into first before requesting more. So,
Thank you.
yep. Any other questions for building maintenance? If not,
I don't think so.
so I do want to just, you're gonna kill me. So Donnie announced that he's retiring at the end of this year, so I just.
Ooh, but thank you for all you've done.
You can't do that.
Donnie's done an incredible job.
Can't do that.
Congratulations. We're gonna miss Donnie and all the work that he's done. This stuff is like second nature to him, so just wanted to point that out.
We've been
We,
lucky.
we thank
Congratulations,
congratulations.
We've been very
That's
lucky
enough.
to have him.
All right, that's it for building maintenance. We're on to the school department. The first one was 2 modular classrooms for Boyden Elementary School.
Okay, so we didn't have any backup information, so I think you're gonna have to go through the whole thing, so, you don't mind.
We want to thank the school department. We always seem to have these capital budget meetings either the first day of school
I
or
know.
the night before the first day of school. So I just want to thank Superintendent Goff and Assistant Superintendent for his first day of school tomorrow, and school committee member Nancy Gallivan for being here.
Middle school.
I was thinking of that today, the last day without the school buses, dealing with the school buses for a while, so.
And the new middle school is opening.
I know.
Yeah,
I want to go, I want a tour.
We will,
We,
we'll get you a tour.
I know, I think we're gonna have a tour or something, were we?
Do a tour, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
A party more than a tour. No, we should.
Yeah.
Well, we're planning a big, a dedication ceremony sometime this fall too, so we'll make sure that this committee gets an invitation. It's a really, impressive building. I was in there a couple times yesterday, and I know the superintendent's been in there a number of times, so.
Living in there.
All right.
Okay.
So Ed, just to clarify, you had said that you don't have any information. Do
Did
you-
we just get it,
Oh, so it was in the PDF I sent on August 9th, and it should be in the packet, the front of the binder.
Who's in the binder?
in front of the binder? No, I didn't know.
Patrick, this is additional proposal, actual proposal with
all
dollars
the
in it.
engineering stuff.
However you want it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to pass that out, I guess. You have it, Ed, or?
No, I don't think I had that.
Mike's got.
You have it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
I could go make copies. Does anybody
No, there is,
have it? Okay, all right.
I don't know who put the books together this year, but,
I gave you the dead one.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so modular classrooms. Boyden Elementary School is facing a space shortage for the FY '25-26 school year. So not this school year, the next one, but we see it coming based on enrollment projections. The shortage is resulting from the same population of students who originally created spacing issues at the preschool, which was 2 years ago, causing the department to look into modular classrooms. So we originally, I think I spoke to you guys about that a couple of years ago, we were looking at modulars. We were able to repurpose space within the Elm Street building where the preschool is and did not have to use that or go for modulars at that point. We were fortunate, we had a director who didn't have an office and kind of floated around, but we made it work. Unfortunately, this group of students plus other students have been added to this particular program are all arriving at Boyden Elementary. Boyden hosts this program for the entire district. So if we were to divide that up and spread it out, we would run into staffing costs associated, which would be much higher than the modulars would cost. So the class sizes in this program are very low, but they need dedicated space to accommodate the specific needs of this particular population of students. 2 general ed classrooms would utilize the modulars, so the special ed students wouldn't go into the modulars, allowing special ed students to be better integrated into the general population as compared to their current location. The addition of 2 modular classrooms will create some flexibility that will help balance additional regular education students attending Boyden Elementary from new housing developments currently in progress in the Boyden district. The information I've given you guys had some information about procurement. So the procurement or the purchasing of modular classrooms can be done through a collaborative purchasing group. So we don't have to go out to bid, do full RFP, go through that entire process because they've already been vetted and the costs associated with the company we're using are the best, most favorable. So for a small cost, we join that group and then we can benefit from that. The modulars follow an expedited design build process, allowing the district to specify any unique needs of the space. It's also very much accelerated as compared to our building projects currently that take years to do. The modulars are built in a factory setting and delivered to the site where the units can be assembled and have any customized options added after the initial construction. In many cases, modulars are constructed on much shorter timelines since the work can be done in the factory while the site is prepared. The 9-month timeline for this project will allow for a more deliberative process for both the site and building. I enclosed some preliminary information in your original packets, and tonight I added additional information specific to our project, including the proposed cost, which is about $657,000. I didn't have that originally. We had just gotten that in. And then approximately another $340,000 for the site work related to the project and any add-ons that we decided to add on. So that's where the $1 million comes up. So for 2 modular classrooms. It's still a work in progress. The next step, if we agree to move forward, would be to have the company come out, meet with Donnie, with the principal, myself, maybe the parks guys, everyone who needs to weigh in on where these things get placed, how they get placed, the fire department, the police, everyone would have a say in this, like any other building project in town. So that's kind of the higher level view. We don't have a lot of options. We've, I think, accommodated enrollment increases of this sort in the past, but we're out of ideas. This building is at its capacity. There are no other options as far as that goes.
This is our in-district special education program for our students with the most intensive needs and growing by leaps and bounds. And these are students who will be spending 6 years, and we have other groups that are coming up, and it really keeps them in district in the least restrictive environment.
And so there's a $50,000 difference between the request and recommendation.
Chris, is it
Can we
something
work
the
that
school
out, or,
department will be able to cover?
Yeah, I think it's a loose estimate at this point. It's not exact by any
Okay.
stretch, so I think we could work within that. Maybe we have to eliminate an option that we were considering, that kind of thing. But I think we're at a very high level at this point. So I think we would work with them to get that cost down.
Larry?
What's the population approximately of, and it can't be at another school, it should be at Boyden?
Yeah, because no, can't be, there's like no room at the inn anywhere. And we house our partnership program at one school, and then we also have our CLC program at Fisher School, so each of those schools has a program. So, yeah, it's raising, it's like 25 now, and then we're going up to 18 now projected next year to get ready for '24. And then you add all of your educational support professionals, your teachers, your OT, your PT, your speech and language, your assistive technology. I mean, these are kids that just have such intensive needs.
Got it, thank you. I have one question on the funding. This is, to me, asset and liability match. This is a 20-year building, probably?
25 plus.
25? Why would we use free cash and not, as much as I'm not a fan of debt, match it to liability, it's pay it off, asset and liability match. Just a thought.
Okay.
Rates are low, well, rates were low, but maybe they'll come down.
Maybe.
I'm just wondering the thought process behind it.
I think it was just a matter of, it was a school department's number one request. It was a calculation by the town administrator, available free cash, and how we can go about using cash.
I get it, I need it. This population isn't going away, and it's, in a sense, saving the town money and helping these kids stay in district. I think it's a smart thing to do. The funding source, I think, maybe we thought. Keep the free cash for high school or whatever else, capital items we need. Thank you.
The one thing I would add is a student in that program is about $100,000 in a private placement, plus $50,000 for transportation, so you guys know the math on that.
And if we're able to get this through in a timely fashion, then we need to get started immediately. So we're ready for these, kiddos when they come in at this time next year.
How long will it take?
9 months, about,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to point out the creativity of using this consortium
Yeah.
that Mike's identified?
So we've done a lot of building lately, as you guys know, and it's just a very labor-intensive, long process, whenever you're doing building. To go through this collaborative purchasing group expedites all the bidding, and you get right to what are you looking for, what's the pricing, and you're hashing that out because it's already been predetermined. So it just saves a lot of time. And then the design work can begin, so everything is expedited. So that's the only reason you can get it done within a 9-month period. If we tried to do a building of this sort, doing design, bid, build, you'd be into years, like the other buildings we've done.
Is it like the school program where they had the schools, like the model schools, like Norwood, like the high school, where it was the model? Is it based on that kind of?
No, I don't believe so.
It's more of like, what do we use collaborative purchasing for? There's just certain types of things that are pre-vetted. That you can buy, like supplies that we use in some of our buildings are done through that. Our food that we buy for our food service program comes through collaboratives.
We actually
It's just
did the
a
same thing
methodology.
too for the high school turf. We did the same thing. We ended up buying the high school turf from some consortium in Texas. And, they shipped up the carpet, and then, we had somebody come and install it, but it was kind of the same thing. It's, it's kind of pre-fabbed, pre-engineered, and it's kind of, I don't want to use the term plug and play, but it's, it's really not much to it, so. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the solar is another example.
Yeah.
It's all pre-vetted.
Just a quick question. I assume that your estimates include all of the condos that are going up in the town, and I know it's impossible to know who's going to be in there, but I assume that, you can probably take some best guesses, and I'm just wondering, more personally, I think, than for this forum, but what is that gonna do to the town's infrastructure capacity?
It's hard to determine, that they changed the makeup of townhouses versus apartment buildings in that particular one that they're building. It's $1 million for 2, and we need those immediately. Maybe you would go and do more if you knew, but it's still early in the game. But we know it will have an impact, and we hope that it's spread out rather than focused at 1 or 2 grades where it causes you to have a problem. So we'll just have to kind of play it as it comes.
Oh, I don't envy you guys dealing with that. Can't really put the extra kids out in the backyard and say, figure it out.
Dumb question. Are these the first modular classrooms that we have in the town?
So we had what I would call portables at Old Post Road,
Right.
and they're very different. Yeah, they're not robust. A portable is not intended to be there permanently. These are designed and built of a sort like a stick frame house would be. They're much more rigorous and made to last.
Because of the site work too? Is that?
And the site work, they're mounted on a foundation versus those were on, I think, trailers for years. And then the roofs were failing and, because it's just not meant to be there for that long.
The portables, if you had a bigger population shift, you could move the portables with them.
In theory.
These you can't.
Sure,
That's fine.
yeah.
Thank you.
So would there be room for expansion too if you did need some extra classrooms? I mean,
Yeah. This is an
we're
interesting.
trying to figure that in, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a pilot of sorts, we've never tried this before, but if you're looking at the pricing per classroom, per square foot, this is a lot more reasonable and expedited timeline than what we've done. I'm not saying it's a solution, I'm kind of curious to see as we design it, does it fit, does it stand out, does it blend in? You can do similar facades on them and make them look like it's been there. We want to put a hallway in from the school. There happens to be a door there to kind of integrate it so it feels like you're in the building. We're putting some good thought into making this fit rather than just an appendage off the back of a building. We also have to move a swing set. That's part of that site work. Of course, the one brand-new swing set we put in is right where we need to put these, so that's is what it is.
Okay, all right. Questions, anybody? Larry?
I'm good with that. I have a question on the HVAC and the playground padding. You were both requested, and 0 was recommended by the TA, so any thoughts?
Yeah, we all done with the?
School, I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right, so moving on to the questions, why weren't they recommended? So the HVAC installation, that one was not on the 5-year plan, and there's funding available for elementary school HVAC study that we'd like to see. It's available for expenditure now, so rather than investing the $500,000, there's work that can be done with existing funding.
Oh, within your budget or the town budget or something, there's funds in there to do it without?
The initial study funding was provided by capital.
Oh, this is just for a study, or?
No, this is the actual one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right, yeah, there's funding for elementary school HVAC funding that's previously been appropriated.
1, but you need 4?
Elm is.
Elm is done, it's
It's
3.
done.
It's our 3 remaining
3.
buildings. We've, obviously, middle school's
Middle
set,
school's done.
high school's in play, that will be taken care of. This is it, the last 3.
Thank you.
Good?
Yeah.
Did you have a question on the playground?
The playground.
Oh, no, I'm saying funding, I'm saying why.
Why wasn't that funded, and isn't that a
So,
safety issue?
so the playgrounds, if you set aside the new middle school, we have 4 playgrounds at one at each elementary school. This is the only one that has padding. We currently have mulch, which is not ideal because it gets raked off, and you have to constantly bring them back in, reset it. It's just very hard to maintain. So if you look on our 5-year plan, we're looking to do all of them with padding. But in the meantime, while that was in play, this one really is in tough shape. This is a playground that was donated by the PAC, paid for, including the padding, and it's just at the end of its useful life. So it is a safety concern. I don't have a solution for it currently. It's about, I know the request was 65, I think it came in like 60, I'm sorry, the request was 75, came in around 63, I believe, was a low quote, which is significantly lower than O'Brien and Sons, who we use for a lot of our work. So we would go with these guys instead. But, yeah, I don't have funding within our budget for that.
How old would the original playground be there?
If I'd estimate 10 years at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
While the school department's here, do you want to just go right into the high school requests? Or do you want to take that kind of at the end, or? Seems silly to have them come back up, right?
I gotta grab my stuff then. Do you wanna, are there particular questions, or do you guys want an overarching presentation?
On what, the high school?
Yeah.
Can you just give us a brief outline?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is the first describing this item, so like I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, this is something that has been kind of in the works for, since 2020, we put out the first RFP for design services and feasibility study. And then over the course of the past few years, this committee's recommended funding to keep the process going. So back in April, the select board appointed the permanent building committee to take charge of the project while we finished up the design phase. Design phase was approved, the design development submission was accepted in April, and then the design team continued to work through construction documents through much of the spring. Put the project out to bid in July, and now we're just waiting for the bids to come back later on this week. So we'll have bids in hand on Thursday, at which point we'll work with our project team to review and vet the bids, work with the architect to vet the low bidder, and then we'll review as a team next week, and then the following week, we'll probably have a permanent building committee. We'll look at those bids, and then on that Thursday, the 12th, the finance committee is meeting, and like I mentioned, we'll have the capital budget committee meet that night too. We can look at the final recommended request, which will include, the final remaining project management costs, design construction administration, and then the construction costs. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. School department, is part of their request, included, there was a memo that the town administrator sent to the select board, school committee, and permanent building committee with all the funding sources that he's recommending for the cost estimate. So it's around $36 million as of now. Like I said, we'll have the final number later on this week. And then some slides from some various public meetings that have already taken place. But that's kind of the project in a 30,000-foot view. But any specific questions about, like I said, the meat and potatoes of it? Or?
You did our job, thank you.
Well done, Patrick, well done.
Oh, looks like you got your items you need. Bought you enough time.
I mean, I tried to provide in your packets, like, kind of a high level. There's obviously a lot of nuance to this project. It's an enormous project. And it's an ad reno, so it's a little more complicated in a lot of ways than the new building. But the numbers, the financials are in your packet. I mean, I can go over it at a high level. I don't know what you guys are interested in hearing.
I would say that Mr. Frisch and I were talking before this meeting, there is literally hours of presentation, deliberation between select board, school committee, permanent building committee on this topic. So not to knock this committee out by the knees, but depending on what level of detail you're looking for, it certainly exists. We can certainly provide that to you. So I don't want to rob you of the opportunity of hearing kind of what it is we're looking to do at the high school. But, there's very minutia detail available on YouTube, and we can certainly facilitate those presentations before the meeting on the 12th too, if you're looking for it.
I would just say a brief overview of what's included, maybe, and you don't have to go into too much detail, but.
Okay, I'm gonna read it. I thought that was what you would be interested in, so I'm just gonna read it just for the sake of time. So the Walpole High School addition renovation project will address 4 areas of concern. First area is the high school science and STEM classroom, which have very significant spacing limitations. Classrooms are significantly undersized with no current solution to increase the instructional space. The study of the high school spacing will address ways to increase classroom sizing that will allow for improved science programming. That's priority 1. Second priority was to address the music programs at the high school that are currently underserved in spaces that are also undersized. Increased spacing would allow for expanded offerings as well as increased practice and performance spaces for existing programs. The third priority was to address the undersized gym space as a means to improve the physical education space, but equally and probably more important was to increase the space available to address the prior spacing concerns. So we repurposed that gym, and that becomes a music suite. It becomes flexible spacing, presentation area, practice rooms. You get a lot of value from a really expensive interior space. And that really ties into the field house, which is the main part of this project, which expands at a low cost because of the way it's manufactured to free up expensive space within the current building. So that was number 3. And then the final priority was to address the site concerns ranging from site parking to traffic and pedestrian circulation concerns. So that's been an ongoing challenge. The police have highlighted that in the past, that kids are running between cars across Common, and somebody's gonna get hurt, and we were very concerned about that. We originally funded, you guys funded a few capital items to pay for fixing the driveway, coming up with a solution, which is now tied into the larger project, and rebuilding that front wall, because that was compromised as well, which has already been done and taken care of. So that's the site kind of work, and then reconfiguring to keep cars and buses separate, which is always a goal that you have with any school building. The limited spacing within Walpole High School was originally identified in the Municipal Building Master Plan Study, and the statements of interest that eventually led to the construction of the new middle school, because when this all started, it wasn't about a middle school, it was about a high school. But MSBA said twice, you guys haven't gotten it yet. And on the third time, we said, all right, we got it, and that's why we have a new middle school. So, but we didn't want to ignore what the high school needed, right? And that's why we're here today talking about this. So because MSBA was not willing to do it, this is where the idea of funding this within our own means to take care of these concerns that I highlighted. It started during COVID, it got derailed for a time, and then it got back on track again. So the high school's been in play for a long time, kind of behind the scenes, second to the middle school, which obviously is being completed. So, I have timelines, I have other information, but I don't want to bore you with that. I mean, what, any specific questions about like programming or?
Anything?
And then you have students that are gonna go to this beautiful middle school, right?
It's
And
30
we've gotta be able to, really take a look at the high school and get these renovations done.
Sorry. Is 36 million a good number? Enough?
Yeah, I mean, in my personal opinion, sure, I think it would do the job that we need to do. It's not a brand-new building. A brand-new building would be 200 plus. So I think there's a lot of value in it. I think we're doing it the right way. The decisions that were made have been, we've asked Vertex and TAP A, the designers, have done focus groups. They've talked to everyone who teaches up at the high school. They talked to the central office. They've gotten a lot of opinions about what that building needs, prioritized it. The school committee has weighed in. They have a priority list of 6 items that are in your packet of what they thought was the most important. Town administration's weighed in. I think we've asked everyone, really, and come up with a lean proposal. That field house was key, because it can be built in a much lower cost per square foot, as opposed to building a traditional building of that size would be an enormous cost. So I think it has a lot of value.
Is MSBA providing any matching? No. And the 36 is, I think, pieced from various.
Yeah, so exactly, various funding sources. We've got like borrowing, capital stabilization, old capital, other items that have been approved through town meeting, Walpole Media Corps. So, what the last estimate we received for the project scope, plus all the indirect costs like architecture fees, project management fees, that all came to $36,162,000, and that's what, in that memo dated July 2nd, identifies funding sources to match that number. So, again, that's all based on a 90% design estimate, and then we get the actual dollar numbers this Thursday, so.
One other thing I wanted to mention was the Plimpton building next door to the high school is now available. The group that was in there renting is now going to rent from Johnson Middle School. They're renting the ground floor. So they're out, that building comes back to us. And so we have plans with the school committee to make that a tech and innovation center and really beef up what's there. It's a nice footprint, needs some help, but nothing beyond what we can't do. It's not included within this budget, but it's something that the school committee, myself, Bridget, all central office have been squirreling away resources that we can put toward that building as soon as it's open, which is now. So I'm moving our production area out of there over to the old town hall so that we can free up the entirety of that building. We have an amazing robotics program in there currently that's going to be an asset to all our high school kids, and then just creating whatever technology we need. So kids coming from the middle school, which is just amazing, will have that in addition to the high school to really challenge them and provide some great great technology and education.
Okay, any other questions of the school department?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Best of luck the rest of the school.
Anybody want to help with traffic at 6:30? Come on down.
Or just stay far away.
Please, Walpole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
The kids
Thank you.
start,
What?
the kids
Next, items from the water department.
So, yeah, I held on,
Sorry, the, design costs and the water main replacement.
yep. Let's, design, so usually the design is 10% of the, thank you.
Sorry, what was the question?
So usually the design is 10% of the total cost of the project, so are we looking at a $6.5 million project here, or?
Which one are we talking about, Ed?
The HEU design.
Lagoon Construction?
Huh?
Lagoon Construction?
You talking about the trihalon methanes
Yeah, wait a second.
at the Willis
Hold on.
plant?
Let me get.
Yeah.
Yeah, new design.
Yeah, so that one, the request was 650,000, James
50,000.
recommended 650 water retained earnings.
So the 10% rule in something like this, I don't think is applicable. In that there is a lot of permitting, there's a lot of piloting that needs to be done. It's more than just design of a particular system. We have to choose a system and then pilot study it to the satisfaction of the Department of Environmental Protection. They need to be sure that the process that we are going with works. So that takes quite a bit of time and is quite expensive, quite honestly, to do it. So it's more than just drawing design construction plans.
So this is like a treatment for the water, or,
Correct.
okay.
Right, it's to remove trihalomethanes, which I think Mike's probably very familiar with them.
Yeah.
They're,
Just
we actually
byproduct
create
from the
these.
Chlorine, so.
Is that,
this is something that we create with our disinfection process.
yeah,
So there's naturally occurring organic matter in the water that's pumped from Minebrook. When that organic matter reacts with the chlorine, it creates trihalomethanes, which are heavily regulated. Right now, I believe we're in compliance, right, Scotty? But we're heading in the wrong direction.
That's
So,
a seasonal
something we
thing as
need to
well.
do.
It's a seasonal thing as well, and
Yeah.
particular season, we're getting very close to that.
so we're gonna take care of it before we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then, I think I held on the next one, so the same thing with the design.
Exactly, it's the same thing, be a different process, different treatment process. However, again, it would still need to be pilot tested to the satisfaction of the Department of Environmental Protection, and then permitted, and then designed. So that 850 is for design, permit, and pilot test.
Okay. All right, and Larry, you had the water?
Yeah, just a question on, it was recommended or requested 2,450,000, and we're recommending 950 from the town administrator, just.
Right. There are some leftover balances in previous water main projects that we will put towards a larger project and add it with the 950 that the town administrators recommended, and do that $2.4 million project.
So we have approximately
It's like
1.5,
1.4, I think.
and that wasn't used on prior.
Right, and we're hoping, we have two projects going right now. They're both well within budget. We're hoping they stay there. That's the only wild card that we see.
Okay, thank you.
So this current company seems to be doing pretty good. They're moving right along, are they?
A little slow for my liking,
Oh, really?
but both of them are, actually. We have two different companies in town. There's Diggett Construction's up on Allen Street,
Yeah.
Riverview in that area,
Yeah.
and Ferrera's up on Alton Street putting in the redundant line. Ferrera's having a little tough go of it. They've hit some pretty hard material. It's not ledge, but it's hard pan, hard clay, so it slowed them down a bit. Diggett, I believe, is probably like 90% done. They're switching services over now. And then once all the services are done, they'll come in and do their paving of their trenches, and they'll be gone. Ferrara should be wrapping up, I would say, within the next month or so.
So I saw Spring Street and Allen Street are on the paving. Are we doing it right away? Are we
No,
waiting for that to
We're
settle?
gonna let
and
it set for a
stuff?
year,
Yeah,
and then pave it next construction season, next paving season.
right, okay. All right, great. I think that might be that, right? We all good with the water?
That's it for water, yep, and then,
3 trucks.
Three trucks.
I already understand the trucks.
So you're gonna pass on the trucks?
I release my hold.
Well, actually, I had a couple of questions. I think one of these was a replacement and two are new to the fleet, is that correct?
Two of them are replacements.
Two are
Two are
replacement?
replacements. One is new to the fleet. And the logic behind adding to the fleet is we need to get another utility body truck. And again, the thought process is, next year, you're gonna see $1.5 million request from both water and sewer. That's for a new metering system,
New what?
a new metering system.
Okay, yeah.
Our current system is starting to fail. It's toward the end of its useful, dependable life. It's old technology. We propose to replace it with newer technology, and we're thinking we can save a significant amount of money by doing the installations in-house, instead of going to contract bid and paying prevailing wage. So that's how we did the last project, very successful. A little slower than we'd like, but you know what? We saved a lot of money. This truck would be used for that. It's a utility body truck, and it would be used for all the meter components and as well as the other.
Is that new funny looking
Exactly.
meter that they
It's
just
kind of
put
a
in my-
round looking, looks like a little missile.
Yeah. Doesn't look like a regular water meter.
Right.
But is that one of the new ones, or is that what we just funded recently?
Right, the new meters are what, ultrasonic, Scott?
Yeah, there's no moving parts. They're ultrasonic, so they're not mechanically spinning and turning and doing things that they did in the past.
So how does it,
It's basically, it's ultrasonic. The water passes through a measuring chamber, and the flow is determined by that.
so we're not gonna get that noise?
No, there's no noise. They're extremely accurate,
Really? Okay.
down to like 1/8 of a gallon a minute.
Really? Okay, I'll let you know my next couple of readings, how it, Okay, guess we're good? You release your home, we're good on those, right? Okay. And, so the only other things we had were, I had on the Allen Dam, I had a hold on that. That's the next hole we had, right?
fire engine.
Fire
is
engine
what
first.
Got her up,
Oh, somebody held that? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
the fire engine, yeah. Yeah, but why don't, if it's okay, rather than have these guys come back up again, we'll just knock the Allen Dam construction off and Willis Lagoon. You wanna just take care of those two holds?
Yep. So the Allen Dam, you know,
So
And on the capital for a
Yeah,
couple of
for
years.
several years. The Allen Dam is currently under design. I believe it's Power Construction that's doing the design for the federal government. And as you know, it's a 65, I believe, 35 split between the federal government and the town. That 2.7 million or whatever it is the town's share of that construction costs. We're thinking should be fully designed by the end of this year and go to bid the end of 2025, I believe.
So they have to rebuild the whole thing? Is it gonna be?
No, it's it's not the entire dam, it's it's the under drain system, and I believe one of the spillways. So it's not quite in peril, but it's headed that way, and it's something that needs to be addressed.
I remember back that, when they first built it, that we had to put plantings to stabilize all the earth, and then the trees get too big, and now they're,
Cutting into it.
a potential hazard, because when they go over, they're gonna take, so. But, is that stuff included? You know, the vegetation or whatever in the trees?
Yes. Right now, they're working on the design of the improvements, which is, again, is the spillway and the under drain system. Those are the two major deficiencies with that dam. I would imagine there's a good amount of landscape that would be done for slope stabilization and water absorption.
Okay.
You don't want to be downstream if
No?
South Norwood's in trouble if the dam goes.
They get enough water without the dam, and, but I remember when downtown here flooded out before they did the culvert, because that was all part of the dam, wasn't it? The dam project, when they
Yes.
did that, the culvert that goes underneath the town. I remember, as a kid, there was people in canoes downtown every time we get the heavy rains.
Pretty
like that.
interesting pictures. I've seen some pictures of people in canoes over here when there was a gas station on the corner.
Yeah, yeah. So,
But the 2.275 is the town's share of the construction costs.
okay.
And that would be
Right.
borrowing,
And what?
borrowing.
Borrowing, okay. And, what do you mean by GF borrowing? Is it?
As opposed to water borrowing, so general fund borrowing. So
Okay.
this article represents it's all the borrowing items. So it would be general fund borrowing as opposed to water borrowing.
Okay. And, all right, if we're okay with that, and what's included in the lagoon? I mean, that, I know it's to get rid of those, the stuff you take out of the water. Is that the hard,
Right, it's the sediment that's generated when the back pulse of the filter membranes discharge what's been removed to the sediment basins. Right now, we're under administrative consent order to do something, so we really don't have a choice. This isn't something that we just want to do, it's something that we need to do. We're in violation of our NPDES permit.
so what do we get for the $2 million?
Is it one
What is
lagoon,
that?
Scott?
No, it's gonna be 2 lagoons. So right now, the lagoons that are in place, they're basically just a hole in the ground, they're unlined, they're dirt, and they're undersized. This will totally replace those. There'll be 2 concrete lagoons, so they'll be able to contain all the materials that we generate and keep them from going over into the wetlands. And we'll also have an option to not just remove those residuals periodically by trucking them out, but if we have an emergency, we can actually pump to the sewer station that's there. It's an emergency alternative as well. Regulations have changed since 1975, so this is to get us into compliance with federal regulations, which we currently are not.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Questions?
All right,
Okay.
thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Final
Thanks a
item
lot.
is the hold on the fire engine.
I'm sorry, Patrick, go ahead.
I'm sorry?
I missed that one.
Oh, I'm sorry, the final hold is just
Oh.
on the fire engine.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Was it me? I don't remember. What? I think it's more the funding, it's not the equipment. I understand you need the equipment. I think it's a 20-year-old truck, if I remember correctly.
25.
99, yeah.
Back to the funding. Ambulance fund, but that's kind of like retained earnings, I guess, but I guess not.
It's used for other purposes other than the capital improvement, so, and it's a.
We'll agree
it's
to
a
disagree.
pretty- okay. I think we did last year too, Larry, and.
It's fine. I'm sorry to keep you here, I didn't know that was holding you up.
Thanks for staying.
No worries.
Thank you all for being here tonight.
All right, that it? Okay. Good. Actually, while they're here, thanks for staying, guys. The Assistant Chief Brian Shirella, who's been in, part of the fire department for quite some time. This is his first meeting in Capital Budget Committee as Assistant Fire Chief.
Right.
And Deputy
Welcome,
Alan Holbert.
congratulations.
So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Recognize these two gentlemen in their new roles at the fire department, so.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Everybody have a
All
good
right,
night.
thank you.
All right, so that's it. I mean, unless there's any concerns about anything in particular, you know, want to come back to do recommendations, but I didn't hear any concerns about anything in particular to prevent you from taking recommendations tonight.
Just had a question. So on the school committee unfinished business because of the bids that are coming in. So I understand that other committees have looked at it and recommended it, and that's fine. So what's this committee's role in approving it?
It's more the, I guess, agreement on the capital expenditure.
Right.
It's been something on the 5-year plan. And actually, Ed, you may remember, Charlie may remember, when we did the middle school a couple years ago, we actually didn't come to this committee because it was, all these other committees were looking at it. And then, right before town meeting, the moderator said, I'd like the capital budget committee to take a vote on this, so.
Right.
More just, a statement about whether or not you're in agreement with the expenditure of, improvements to a building. It is a pretty sizable request.
It's double, almost double what we just looked at tonight.
Yeah, it'll be
So-
$36 million, so,
So when are they gonna have a number on it?
we get bids on Thursday. So what we'll do is we'll take those bids and plug it into the budget and, we'll figure out contingency, what we'll wanna carry, like we're carrying, if you look at the memo, I think it's 12% contingency, how it all kind of will shake out as total project budget. And then, even then, we have to work with our design team to vet the low bidder, vet the spread, make sure they understand the project. This is gonna be, it's gonna be a different project than the middle school project. The middle school project was a new building next to an existing building. This will be a building within an existing building that'll be in use. So it's, parts of the building are 100 years old. It'll be, blending those two buildings into one cohesive unit. So it's gonna be just a building of a different magnitude. So we'll wanna make sure, once we get the bids in hand, if the bidders understand the scope, what'll be involved, the project schedule, all the coordination that will be required. So once we get the bids on Thursday.
Will the field house be physically connected to the current
It will, yep,
facility? Really?
yep.
So near where? Near the tennis courts?
Where the, yeah, so where it is now, where it's proposed will be next to where, like, the Walpole Media
Yeah.
door
Yes,
is.
yes.
And it'll just you'll enter into the high school kind of that way. So it'll be its own dedicated entrance, its own vestibule. It'll be, it'll accept folks coming in, and that'll be kind of like the dedicated way in from the parking lot.
I have no problem with it. I mean, I'd like to go see it when, at that September 12th if I'm around to do
Yeah.
it. But I mean, to me, it's like, what's this committee's role in it? Like, not a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to say not a lot. There are so many other folks that have been
And I'm
involved.
glad, finance committee, if they're okay
Right.
with it, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I can do, we had a meeting back, I want to say in June. There was a PowerPoint presentation that I think Mike Fisher actually took some slides from that presentation. It includes renderings, site plans, things like that. I'll put that together and I'll send that in an email.
That'd be great.
So that way you guys
Just
kind of get a
information,
sense of
that's
it.
fine. It's
Yeah,
great.
you got it.
You gave it out at town meeting, maybe. I think you might have passed it out at town meeting last year, or I remember
There's been a
getting it
few
back.
different iterations of it, and then, with the addition of the permanent building committee coming online in April, it's also kind of just changed the dynamic a little bit, that some of those folks haven't been involved in the design phase leading up to that point, so there's this past spring, all the boards really kind of finalized the scope of what that project was gonna look like. And then it was a matter of kind of catching up the permanent building committee into, you know, the history, the values that went into that, the priorities that went into that. So I think the material that was circulated in the springtime and the June timeframe will probably be the most relevant in terms of capturing where we are in this stage of the process, what the priorities have been, what the design team's response to those priorities has been. So I'll pull that together from that June meeting, and I can send that to you guys tonight or tomorrow.
Thanks, Patrick.
So are you suggesting we should vote tonight, or do you want to come back?
So we could vote on everything but the high school?
Yeah, so Articles 9 and 10, you could vote tonight, and then 12, we just vote on September 12th. Good? Okay.
All right,
All right, in this new process, are we doing it all one
Well, I
one
guess
by one, or?
it's
do
up to you, if you wanna go one by one, but if there's anything that anyone disagrees with and you wanna pull it out, otherwise.
well, I think we already held everything.
We
I mean,
vetted both 9 and 10, right?
Huh?
We vetted, we've
9
gone
and 10,
over
we've
9
gone
and
over
10.
it, so I don't
Right.
think, if anybody has anything, anything else? Larry, you good with it all? You look a little,
And I'd
oh, wait.
have an issue with the, you know, school building, not financing that and keeping the free cash for other projects, maybe the high school comes in at 36 or whatever, but that's my only issue.
Or the issue is with which one?
The
Modular?
modular buildings,
It's the funding source.
the funding, of it, not the, I get it, they need it.
Right. Do you want to vote everything except for that one line item, and then
You can just say,
vote
that's,
is?
yeah.
Yeah, and then go to that one line item and say, take a separate vote for that?
Yeah, we can do that.
I think part of the issue with that one was that it wasn't on the 5-year plan. It wasn't put into the, you know, the borrowing anticipation, so that one
Wasn't anticipated.
kind of appeared this year, and
So it will mess up the borrowing.
it
Scheme
hasn't
of
been
sorts?
anticipated the way all the other borrowing items have been. So I just want to mention that it hasn't been on the 5-year plan, so it hasn't been anticipated, it hasn't been planned for, and this is town administrator's way of trying to make it work.
Do we not have the borrowing capacity?
It's just, it hasn't, with the other items that are on the borrowing schedule, like the high school and, you know, the tri-county school passed, and there's just other items that hasn't been planned for, so it was just a matter of, other than changing the scheme, free cash was the recommended funding source.
Okay. I can live with it grudgingly.
Well, I mean, I think with the free cash, though, if we have it, might as well.
Part of me says it's like retained earnings, use it for capital expenditures.
Sorry?
Part of me says use it for capital expenditures, like the water and sewer people using retained earnings. It's kind of like retained earnings in my mind.
The free cash?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, of course, of a different color, but yeah,
I just want to be consistent then, if we're going to use it that way.
okay.
So,
Good.
all right.
So which one, we're just holding the high school?
Article 9, so that was,
So-
if you're gonna recommend everything the town administrator recommended, that's the $9,848,093, Article 9.
9840, yeah.
So we're gonna do Article 9 and then 10, and then we'll hold 12 until the
We
12th
have
of
it,
September,
yeah.
when we come in, they have all the info. All right, so I'll make a motion for favorable action on Article 9 for $9,840,093. And, do I have to do all the funding too?
No, I mean, I actually summarized it for myself too, so I'll just read that, it's all consolidated by the funding source. So free cash was $5,108,203. Overlay was $56,810. Ambulance was $430,000. Chapter 90 was $788,080. Water retained earnings was $2,552,000. Sewer retained earnings was $905,000 for a grand total of $9,840,093.
Can I ask just one question?
Yep.
What if water and sewer doesn't want to use their retained earnings? As they mentioned, they haven't voted on it yet. Come back and
We'll come
reconsider?
back. Yeah, we can come
Okay.
back.
Okay,
Seconded?
all right, what he just said. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 600.
All right, Article 10.
Can you read this funding sources?
Yeah, you wanna,
Yes, I can. So the funding sources, Article 10, general fund borrowing, $3,475,000. Water borrowing, consolidated number, $2,265,000 for a grand total of $5,740,000.
do we have, you made the motion? Or did I-
I'm making a motion to.
Favorable action.
Favorable action for Article 10 with what Patrick just said.
I'll second.
Similar question? Does Water and Sewer Board have to vote to borrow? Or is that something outside their purview? That's out there, okay.
Okay, any other discussion? We good? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 600.
Okay, and then Article 12, like I said, we'll meet on September 12th with the Finance Committee, get a joint kind of update on the project, and I'll send that PowerPoint from that June meeting when I get back to my desk.
Okay.
Thank you.
So are we gonna, so do we take a vote right there that night?
Yeah, that'll be the idea.
So we'll listen to the, we have like a meeting within a meeting?
Yeah, we'll have two posted meetings at the same time. You'll hear the presentation. Imagine the Finance Committee can take a motion, and then you folks can also take a motion at the same time, and interchangeably ask questions at the same time.
So would we have to really take our vote first, and then we can give the recommendation to them? Is that what
I guess you could.
Huh?
I think the school committee too, they'll be hearing it probably, I don't know if they'll be hearing it for the first time too. They may make a vote that night too, but yeah, we could, I guess, kind of follow the practice. You guys could take the
Yeah.
vote first, and that way formally recommend it to the Finance Committee, who can pick it up right afterwards, so.
Okay.
All righty.
How did
You
this
all good?
work? We had all the department heads here. What do you, feedback? What do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, it worked out good. I mean, huh?
Do we move to adjourn this?
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
A second.
Okay. I'm sure there's no discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? 600. Good.